Hi, it's me again with Corel Tips and Tricks Part 2. If we look, we have individual lines, and that's going to cause us a lot of problems, especially if they're not in order. The laser's going to have to cut all over the page, and it's going to maybe cause you a little more burn. Her main problem is not cutting out the center. So if you want to try what I'm fixing to suggest, make your text a little bit bigger, and I'm using Arial Black, and if we look in comparison, it's just a little bit thicker. Um, Depending on the handprint, you could actually make it a little bit or quite a bit bigger. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit T to put those back on one line. And I've recreated a box, and I'm going to left click, right click, and make it an outline actually in red. And I don't know how you progress to get to where you did. Um, you look like you did it perfectly, but here would be my suggestion. And what I'm going to do, this whole thing is not that big. I'm going to change your nudge factor to 12 inches. First of all, I'd change your duplicate distance to 0, 0. You'll find out that's a lot better. And I'm going to nudge that larger box out of the way. And then I'm actually going to Control G to group these together. And then I'm going to select all this, and I'm going to go CE, and that put the names in the center. I don't have them spaced out perfectly, but then I would start moving them first, or you'll get the control button. And then let's just remember the number 12. Let's set our nudge factor on 0.01. And it might even be better to have them in the big box to do this. But just go right below there, just where they're barely touching. And then select it all and weld it. Whoop. A lot of times that doesn't work, so let's go back minus front, and there you have it. And now your lines are all solid. There's no broken lines. Now we will take our box and put it back on 12 and nudge it back. Now, one thing I would suggest, if it's not a software problem and it's a laser problem, the reason it's not cutting out the center of that A, is I would do a little test first. Instead of wasting a piece that's 11.5 inches, I would just make a duplicate of this, and then take this one and just draw a box around those letters and cut everything else away. See, your inside parts are there, very much so. I'd make that line a hairline. And then I would cut this out. And then that way, if it cuts out that A, you're good to go. And you could just do the letter act. Now let's set this back to the beginning, and let's go to Dockers. Objects, excuse me. And let's look at these curves. Now what we're going to do is probably take this, go up to object. Nope, it should be ready to go. That was one of your problems a while ago. It was, I had to break apart the curve. Maybe I still do. Yeah, let's break apart the curve. Now let's look at that A. And that center part of the A is way up at the top. It's going to cut almost last. So what I would do is go through here, hold down the shift, grab, it would be easier to do them one at a time. But there's that, hold down the shift, grab the center of the A, center of the R, center of the A, center of B, center of B. Well, can't really do that because they're not together. So let's do this. Let's do them one at a time. Just take that part of the A, hold down your left mouse button and start moving it down until it gets to the bottom. Look at all the cuts it's got to make. Now it's going to cut that letter first. Then we'll jump over to the O. See, it's way up top. Just cursor down and get to about there, and it'll just cursor to the bottom. And you could put it anywhere. I'm going to put it right above the A. So now there's the A, there's the O. And I'm going to send you this file. But I would try cutting it out first. Got a couple more letters. And actually this would be a cut that you'd have to have. I'm just holding down the left mouse button. Doesn't really matter where you put it. You'd probably want these two together. So if you look at that shape and move this part of the A, probably like in 5th place. Doesn't really matter. It's going to save you a little bit of laser time. That's probably an outside shape or an inside. Well, really all of them are. But she was only having trouble with the inner parts of the letter. So and if you feel you could actually cut all that out and put it above there. You'd want that one in the same spot or near it so the laser doesn't have to move back and forth too much. See, there's that part of the B, so I'm going to put it right below that B. I maybe would go ahead and move these because it shouldn't really matter, but if it doesn't cut, I'm going to have it cut that first and then have it cut this first. Whoop, I moved it. Put it, well, no, I didn't. Take that curve and we'll put it next to first. Next to, see, if lasers, or at least mine does, or yours is too, if it's an envelope, is going to go from box back to back. Now, that's not the last curve. So we need to take this outer box and move it all the way to right there. That way, it'll cut out this frame last. And like I said in the first video, if you happen to have a little bit of a warp, or even the wood's warped, let's say the wood's warped and you cut this out and it moves just a little bit, then your other letters aren't going to cut. This way it's going to cut perfectly. And I'm guessing her idea is to have this on a frame. Let me just look, Control, we'll group that together, Control G to group them together, select both of them and hit P, and that's what it's going to look like. So, in all actuality, your text could be quite a bit bigger, and I didn't put a space between there. So maybe don't use my file, just redo it, make your text a little bit bigger, and go from there. Anyway, I hope that helped them a little bit. Thank you for watching.